Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. I know yesterday we talked about Xbox Game Pass because they just announced another day one release for the month of June. Well, guess what? They revealed yet another day one release today, though this time it's for the month of May. Yeah, there's just no slowing down Xbox Game Pass, so we're going to talk about that plus an interesting Xbox partnership that was just revealed. I wasn't expecting this, but it does have some potential, so we'll go over that as well. Also, we need to talk about that PS5 stock situation because it does appear that they are having some major problems in some regions across the world, so stick around for that as well. With that said, let's move on to our first topic, which is a confirmed sequel for Ghostrunner. Yeah, so Ghostrunner released late last year and was well received for its fast-paced, action-based combat. It's kind of like Mirror's Edge, but with a heavier focus on its combat. Fans seem to really like it, and apparently it did well enough to merit a sequel. I mean, this is a good game and everything, but it released in October. That is a difficult month for AA games like this, because this is usually the time when all these big AAA games are releasing, and then on top of that, this is just ahead of the Xbox Series and PS5 launch. So it's easy for a game like this to get buried under all these other big releases, but Ghostrunner actually flourished. That's just a testament on how good this game actually is, as it ended up selling 600,000 copies, which is great for a game like this. I mean, it's coming from a relatively unknown studio, and it didn't exactly have a huge marketing campaign either, but it still ended up selling a lot of units. That's very impressive. Well, that's the exact reason why 505 Games decided to greenlight a sequel. It's a quality game that sold well. I imagine it will get an increased budget to really maximize its potential. The developers already proved themselves, so a sequel could end up being a big improvement. Now, we don't know much about this sequel just yet, other than it's releasing for the Xbox Series, PS5, and PC, but it's definitely a game to keep an eye on. As a bonus, Ghostrunner will receive a next-generation version sometime in 2021, so if you did miss out on that game before, that would be a good opportunity to jump in and try it out before we get this sequel. Moving on though, I got some good news for you Dragon Quest fans out there. They just announced a Dragon Quest 35th anniversary stream for May 26. It will start at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time, where they will give the latest information about what's going on and what's yet to come in the world of Dragon Quest. Yeah, at first glance, this seems like a serious event where we may hear about new games. We might see some kind of spin-off and even possibly Dragon Quest 12. Dragon Quest XI did originally release back in 2017 for the PS4 and 3DS in Japan, though it did get a staggered release with it eventually making its way to the Switch and even the Xbox in late 2020. Regardless though, Dragon Quest XII did go into development in 2019 from my understanding, so they may give us our first teaser here at this event. I'm not saying that they absolutely will, but the reason there's all this hype around this particular stream is because for the first time ever, a Dragon Quest stream will have live English interpretation rather than it just being Japanese. This does signify that they may have something big here. So could they possibly reveal Dragon Quest XII here at this event with some kind of teaser or something like that? Now, whether they do or not, this does seem like an event Dragon Quest fans should tune in for. I do expect some interesting things to happen here. Let's talk about some PS5 games though, both future games and current. We'll first start off with Returnal. It's now been out for a couple weeks, and it's a good game with fun gun mechanics. It's been well received by critics, though some fans have grown frustrated with Returnal due to its pacing. This is a roguelike game after all, where if you die, you have to start back from the beginning. Now that's not a problem all on its own, but when you pair that with a lack of saves for each run, it turns into quite a time investment anytime you want to play it. An individual run can take hours, and because there's no saves in Returnal, it has become a little bit more stressful than what it should be. I mean, yeah, you could put your PS5 to sleep, but that has led to unexpected problems, so fans have called for an update to add a save system. Well, the good news here is that Housemarque has heard you loud and clear. They pretty much responded to this within the first few days of its launch. The bad news, though, is that we're now a couple weeks removed from its launch, and Housemarque just now stated that they still haven't decided how to resolve Returnal's lack of saves. This is because apparently it's complicated by different players having different expectations. So anybody that was hopeful for a quick fix, it doesn't sound like that's happening. They're still exploring options, though from a non-developer myself, I feel like they might be overcomplicating this. I personally think that they could just fix the problem by allowing players to save and quit, and then when you die, it immediately autosaves over your save file in order to keep players from simply restarting from their last save point. Other games have done this before, so that does seem plausible. Now, there are other things that you can do, such as giving players options on whether or not they want to allow save files, but I don't really think that you need to overthink this too much. It is what it is, I guess. Returnal is still a really good game, though I was hoping that they would get this fixed up sooner rather than later. As for the other PS5 game, as you all may know, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is planned to release on June 11th. This is a very exciting PS5 exclusive, and for many people, this could be the first game to really own a PS5 4. I personally think they already had a game like that in Demon's Souls, but Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart does look amazing. This is a great franchise with fun gameplay, and the visuals on the PS5 look absolutely stunning. I mean, it basically looks like Pixar. I will say though, I think Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is the first game to truly show what next generation is truly capable of, because it was designed around the solid-state drive. You just can't make a game like this for last generation consoles. Well, today I'm happy to say that Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart has officially went gold, which means its release date is pretty much set in stone. You shouldn't have to worry about any kind of delay unless something happens that's just absolutely unexpected. The only game that went gold that I know got delayed was Cyberpunk, and when it released, it was kind of obvious as to why. All I know though is I'm incredibly excited to play Rift Apart next month on June 11th. This game just looks so good, and I think every time that we see a new Insomniac game, it's clear that PlayStation made the right decision in acquiring them. They are quickly becoming one of PlayStation's best studios. Now, we also got some Xbox stuff to talk about today. They announced another Day 1 Xbox Game Pass game for May 20th. I think a lot of people missed this today because of how it was announced. They actually revealed this in an Xbox Wire blog post where they talked about some upcoming independent games. Well, 2 of those games launched directly into Game Pass later this month. One we already knew about, which is Knockout City. That's a fun, chaotic-looking dodgeball, battle royale type of game. I think it looks interesting, but they also revealed that The Wild at Heart will launch directly into Game Pass on May 20th. Now, they first showed this game at their Xbox Indie event a couple months ago, and we talked about it on the channel. This is one of the games that really stood out to me personally, and I'll explain why here in just a second. Again, I think a lot of people missed that event as well, so people just don't know about this game. But The Wild at Heart is similar to something like Pikmin with a Don't Starve art style. Now, this has me very curious. Pikmin is one of the most unique games in the industry right now. You just don't see a lot of games like that, but you can clearly see The Wild at Heart is inspired by Pikmin, but with its own take. They don't look exactly the same per se, especially with the settings, but they do have these little minions with their own unique elements, following them around where you can throw them at different enemies or objects to fight or to carry. Resource management is a big part of the Pikmin franchise, and it's all here in The Wild at Heart. Honestly, I think this game looks really interesting, and I'm excited to play it myself. If you like Pikmin, definitely check this game out, and if you've never played Pikmin before, you should try it out anyways. This game could really end up surprising some people because, I mean, again, those games are so unique, and I expect this game to be both unique and fun on top of that. I'm absolutely going to download this game myself, so I'm excited it's coming so soon. Again, you just have to love Xbox Game Pass. It's the gift that just keeps giving, and you know, I'm sure we'll be talking about Game Pass next week as well when they announce the second half of May's lineup. But for those who do follow the channel, you all will probably know about this game coming to Game Pass sooner than most people, as I really haven't seen many other people talk about it, or really anybody. But yeah, The Wild at Heart launches into Game Pass on May 20th. Xbox wasn't quite finished there though. They also announced a new surprising partnership that's actually pretty interesting. This is with the Tencent-owned developer TiMi Studios. Now, we don't know exactly what games they'll be working on together just yet, but they did say that they will be working with Xbox Game Studios to jointly create excellent game content and bring new experiences to players. So we will get new games from this partnership, which is always a big positive, though I wouldn't go in expecting console games. Now, maybe they will, but TiMi Studios is most well known for their work on mobile devices. This is the same studio behind games like Call of Duty Mobile and Pokemon Unite, so I think this is a way for Xbox to bring their IP to mobile devices, which is actually a smart move. I've talked about this on the channel before, but expanding to mobile devices is a great way of raising brand recognition, as the mobile market is pretty massive. I mean, Crash Bandicoot on the Run was apparently downloaded like 25 million times in a very short period of time, and some of that may translate to sales for something like Crash Bandicoot 4. They can feed directly into one another. Now, I will be interested in seeing what games they work on though. Honestly, the first game that comes to my mind is Viva Pinatas. That is the perfect fit for mobile devices, though I don't know how realistic the chances of that happening actually is. They might go for some of their bigger IP at first, like Halo, The Elder Scrolls, Doom, Gears, Fable, Forza, and games like that. Regardless, we could start to see some Xbox mobile games here soon. Now before we go, we do need to talk about that PS5 stock situation. It's no secret that the PS5 is in short supply. They've tried their hardest to meet demand by flooding the market with new consoles, though these things still sell out within minutes. Yeah, it's difficult to buy a PS5, and I know there was that hope that maybe stock would improve in the second half of 2021. Well, that's not sounding too promising right now, as PlayStation did say earlier this week that they do not expect things to improve too much until 2022. Well, these stock issues are starting to become increasingly evident in places like the UK. If you live there, you may have noticed fewer PS5 drops here in the last month or so, and let's just check this out. Apparently, the PS5 saw a significant decline in units sold for the month of April in the UK. In fact, it wasn't even the best-selling PlayStation device. The PS4 reportedly sold more, which really shows you just how few units Sony actually has on hand. That is very alarming, especially for fans still looking for the PlayStation 5. I mean, when you see the PlayStation 4, a last-generation console, outselling the PS5, you know there is a serious stock issue. Now, maybe Sony decided to allocate PS5s to other countries instead, but no matter what, you don't want to see a region have that little supply, and that is a direct reflection on the ongoing stock issues worldwide. Now, it does look like the Xbox Series saw a stock increase in the same month. They reportedly are catching up to the PS5 and Switch's total units sold for the year as stock has improved. However, apparently, the Xbox Series S was the one to see the biggest improvement rather than a Series X. The Switch, though, did come out on top, but yeah, I don't see this as anybody winning or losing. By this point, whoever can produce the most will sell the most. Everybody is dealing with the exact same problems. These semiconductors are in short supply, and manufacturing enough consoles have proven to be difficult. Let's just hope that we see an improvement sooner rather than later. Let's talk about the poll of the day though real quick. In Sega's fiscal year report, they mentioned remastering, remaking, or even rebooting old dormant franchises. This has gotten a lot of buzz because, you know, they do have some very beloved IP. I personally think it would be great to see some of their old games come back, but that really is the question. Which games should they bring back? So I asked you all, and the results kind of surprised me here. You all voted for Shinobi. I actually thought Jet Set Radio would win this, but you all want Shinobi. I do think Sega could bring this IP back and do some interesting things with it. It being an action hack and slash type of game, it could make for a good reboot. I'm not sure if I'd want a remake of these games, but if they could bring it back in a similar way as something like Streets of Rage 4, I think it could work. For me though, I'd personally want a new Skies of Arcadia, and that could just be a simple remaster really. And then if it does well enough, bring on a sequel. I'd also be more than happy if they did something with Panzer Dragoon Saga. In the comments though, you all brought up some really interesting games including Altered Beast, Golden Axe, and even Vanquish. I actually didn't even think about that game, but that is an awesome third-person shooter. I'd definitely be happy with them bringing back Vanquish. I'm just glad though that Sega seems to finally be going back to their roots just a bit. They should have probably done this a long time ago, but it's better late than never. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.